Cricket et al. It's a website, it's a podcast.
Pete, it's a way of life. It's Gideon Haig over here.
Peter Lawler over here.
And welcome to Cricket et al., your independent cricket podcast, coming to you live.
And exclusive.
From the Harris Garden. Very charming little corner of Lords. I mean, there's not a square metre of this ground that's not picturesque, but this is a fabled location, isn't it? It's a memorial to Lord Harris, who was the great sort of potentate of Marylebone, captain of England in the famous 1878-9 riot test in Sydney.
That one.
Yeah.
And that's the memorial stone. It's a fantastic stone wall.
It is.
Stone over there.
Yeah.
Have a look.
We have great.
There you go.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, great. Thank you, cameraman.
They have great stone.
Thank you, cameraman.
Yeah. So they're packing up the nets, so we thought we'd adjourn over here. Tomorrow this place will be seething with members enjoying their PIMs.
Rancid with English upper class.
Paying no attention to the
ladies.
Cricket, because it is a bit of a social occasion. But
it's just out the back of the members' pavilion,
members'
isn't
pavilions
it?
over there.
Yeah. That's where the more recent riot happened.
Yeah.
Yes. Will they develop a garden for Usman Khawaja?
There's the Middlesex shop up there.
Yeah.
There's the museum over yonder,
Just behind the Hendricks Gin stall.
Indeed,
Yeah.
it's worth taking a look at a little bit later.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, we've got news.
Haven't we?
We do.
Well, it's
We've
a bit
two
old
teams.
by the time we're getting this out. But anyway, there is news. We have teams.
We have two teams.
Have you got an 11 for us, Gideon?
Pretty much as expected, actually. The no real surprises. It's a reprise of what we were saying yesterday. South Africa have Wian Mulder batting at number 3, as we discussed yesterday. They've included Gideon rather than Patterson.
Yeah.
So the team more or less picked itself. It's only the one spinner, Maharaj. Australia's picked the one spinner, Nathan Lyon, and they've included Marnus Labuschagne, as we suggested yesterday, as opener at the expense of Sam Konstas. And Josh Hazlewood has come into the 11.
Yeah, he has come into the 11 too. Yeah, and you've written a piece about Marnus. I haven't had a chance to read it yet. Tell me what's in it. What have you said?
Well, I've just sort of talked about Marnus's journey. He's like the grand old Duke of York. He marched his average up to 60, and he's marched it down to 46.
Yeah,
so
not an uncommon pattern.
Not an uncommon pattern, and in some respects a reversion to the mean. If you look at Marnus's first-class average, it's 44. So you always expect there to be some slight discrepancy between a test and a first-class average. If one gets significantly out of kilter with the other, they do tend to converge over time. But it's a general discussion of the kind of the forces that bear down on a player as their international career goes on. It's not just a matter of form, it's a matter of age, it's a matter of ambition, it's a matter of where they are in their personal life cycle. Talked a little bit about the fact that Marnus's life has changed a lot in the last 3 years. Of course, he's a father now of 2, whereas in the early stages of his career he was a young man for whom batting was his first love. Now he has other things on his mind. I think, of course, we always used to talk about Marnus's luck, Marnus's proverbial luck, and Marnus began to desert him maybe 2 or 3 years ago. He seemed to be making hundreds for fun for a while, and then they all dried up back in 2023.
So you talk about age and ambition. Yeah. How old is he?
He's 30. He's about to turn 32.
Which is not that old, really. No, he should be entering his prime, so age shouldn't be against him.
He should. No, it shouldn't be. And of course, Steve Smith is the counter-example, isn't it? A man who's kind of falling back in love with batting
at the same time.
Mid-30s.
Yeah, at the same time that Virat Kohli fell out of love.
Yeah.
But and ambition, I don't know that I would ever question his ambition.
Well, no. I think I'm not saying that's specific to Marnus. In fact, if anything, he drives himself extra hard,
which can be the issue.
Can be the issue.
So that good piece that we referenced yesterday or Greg Chappell piece in Crick Info. Perhaps trying too hard. Luck's an interesting one with Marnus. There
is. Yeah. There are two there are two sort of forces that I discuss in the game these days. Which draw players in different directions, and the one is the kind of the imprecation to T20 sort of naturalness. Just go with your instincts. Don't think about it. Just do what comes naturally.
Yeah.
And the other, because there are now these extensive resources available for analysis, is to indulge in ever more manic self-scrutiny.
And that
you
he's
can
prone to
drive
that,
yourself
isn't he?
absolutely crazy.
Yeah. He and his mate Smith
Yeah.
are the king and queen of
Yeah,
that
yeah.
sort of disease, aren't
Yeah.
they? When it comes to batting, constantly adjusting.
Yeah,
fitting, you know,
yeah.
this
Yeah.
bowler, that bowler. What am I
Yes.
doing wrong?
Yes.
All those sorts of
I
things.
can remember a chat with Athers about this. We were talking about the later stages of Athers' career, and I said, you lived in an era when there was one coach for England. There was no specific batting coach. You didn't have access to all these resources. What difference do you think it made to your career towards the back end? And he said he actually wished there had been a batting coach around to reassure him every now and again to stick to what he knew, because he said there was a tendency to kind of just psychologically adjust for every dismissal, to be constantly playing your last innings,
Yeah. So
to be worrying about your last error.
So almost have that baseline.
Yeah.
And some batters do that, don't they? They have a video of their best
Of
innings
their best moments,
or their
yeah.
best moments when they're in best form, and they go back and they have a look at
Yeah.
that and see where they've drifted from that.
Yeah.
But you do sometimes. It needs a coach to remind you. Of those things.
I think one of the reasons why Travis Head's been so successful over the last 2 or 3 years is that he doesn't really question, does he? He doesn't really adjust. He plays his natural game, come what may, and that confidence is bracing when you encounter it as a bowler. It puts the pressure back on you. You know that if you're a foot too full or a foot too short, he's going to punish you.
Yeah, I guess he's licensed to do that to a degree by where he bats things, and you cannot license everybody in the batting lineup to do that. Although England have, to a degree, haven't they? You just go for it. I came at the selection analysis from a sort of different point of view. It is the amount to which the selectors in the Australian batting lineup and team is willing to contort itself to accommodate Cameron Green.
Yes.
You
True
remember
enough.
the last time he came back into the team, and we had that big debate, and so Steve Smith moved up to open so Cameron Green could play.
Yeah.
And I remember ending debates about that where people were going, this can't happen. I was saying, well, you've got to get Cameron Green into the team.
Yeah.
They've done it again here, haven't they? They've had to shuffle the batting order to get Cameron Green into the team. In this case, he's coming in only as a batter too. He will not be sending down any overs. He sent out. He wasn't bowling a lot back that time, but it's interesting how keen they are to accommodate him.
Interesting that Cummins in his presser showed that tendency to recency bias, didn't he? The fact that Green's made 300s in 4 games.
Well, yeah, that's
kind of Well, maybe that verifies an
I think that's
instinct that they've already had.
Yeah. I think there is an urge to get him in, but I reckon you're right too, because I reckon if he hadn't have made those 3 centuries, they demanded that he be selected.
Yeah, sure.
Had he not made those centuries, would we be seeing Sam Konstas play out here?
Maybe.
Well, we would, wouldn't we?
We would, yeah. I mean, it is interesting that, imagine if Labuschagne had been making runs at number 3, it would have been difficult to make an argument for him to be promoted. So in some respects, they're pushing him up to open in an attempt to sort of break the cycle, aren't they? It's
which
kind of
they
kill
did
or
with
cure.
Smith to a degree, although Smith put his hand up to do it.
Yep.
And I know that Marnus actually put his hand up to do this some time ago. He said, I'm happy to open if you want me to.
Yeah.
And of course, there's the Hazelwood comes back as well.
Yes.
But the Konstas, I don't want to let that Konstas thing go so quickly. I mean, you heard Ben Horn questioning in the press conference. You know which way his stories are going.
Yes,
there,
I do. Yeah.
It's have they missed? Are they missing an opportunity? They have really dropped him very quickly. Their argument in Sri Lanka was the conditions didn't suit him.
Yep.
You get here and you go, well, in a way, this is probably why not here, if anywhere. If Marnus makes runs here as opener, does that mean? Well, Konstas is going to miss out on the next series as well. I'm not saying that they will drop Marnus if he doesn't make runs, but I think they might.
If Marnus misses out here, then you do have 3 Test matches in the West Indies to bed Konstas in before the Ashes, and I'm sure they'll be tempted to do that.
Yeah, but they are leaving him on the shelf. You remember that old Greg Chappell saying about, that fruit rots.
Pick them when they're ripe.
Yeah, fruit rots on that first-class tree.
I'm not
that
sure,
he's playing a lot
I'm
of
not sure he's quite ripe
anyway.
yet. Yeah.
No. And clearly they don't think he's quite ripe yet either. Yeah.
It was interesting. He had the misfortune to get Hazelwood in the nets, and Hazelwood was bowling very bloody well. And if you ever wanted to have a convincing net, this is where you'd want it.
Yeah.
And he didn't look great against Hazelwood. Probably no one would. Labuschagne, however, did batted for a long period. Obviously worked extremely hard, was showing good instincts on off stump. He is, interestingly, Labuschagne is still very conscious of that shot around the corner. Did you notice he was letting the ball go on leg stump?
I didn't notice that, yeah.
I was, that's a bread and butter shot for a batter, but he's now worried about hitting that ball in the air because he's had a bit of a run of catches in that position. He got out noticeably in the Shield final, caught there off McAndrew, I think. And
she's sure good.
And once something like that gets in your head, it's kind of hard to get out. If if instinct is telling you to play the shot, but experience is telling you not to play the shot,
that's trouble.
Yeah,
that's big trouble, isn't it? Now, there's another exciting development with the inclusion of green. It's the Slips Gully situation. My God, it's the widest. It was going to be the widest Slips Gully.
Wider still and wider. Ever. Shall I bounds be set? Apparently, Labuschagne was saying in the cordon that he felt like a little boy. Yeah,
and doing his best to catch them. And these guys are just,
Yeah. And they both got beautiful hands as well as a great reach.
Big hands. Yeah. Enormous reach. Enormous reach. And I was listening to Bo Webster talk the other day, and he said he'd be keen to get to third slip because he likes that. He likes the finer angle.
Yeah, right.
It suits him better. So Cameron will presumably go to gully.
Okay,
that could be exciting. Yeah. Having said that, it doesn't look like the kind of pitch where balls are going to be flying through to the slips cordon because that is a very straw-coloured dry
very
pitch.
Hard.
Yeah, there
very
is that,
hard
I guess.
with tall bowlers.
They will carry, I guess.
Yeah.
They will carry, I guess.
Yeah. If anyone's going to get the ball to carry, it's going to be Marco Jansen.
Yeah, that's true. You're right. And it is a hard pitch, so maybe. I did it was an optional training session today, but a few of the batters showed up, as even Pat Cummins showed up for a bat too. I noticed one thing, and it's to do with the pitch. They batted at the other end of the practice wickets to how they did yesterday. So they were batting in the bowling the bowling marks.
Yep.
So I think spin is going to they're anticipating that spin will play a role on this wicket.
Dry enough for that. Yep. And they're both good spinners in each lineup. Smithy had a bat today, didn't he? So Webster going over.
Yeah.
Who else was there?
Well, I assume Marnus was there.
Yeah, Marnus was there.
Yeah. I didn't really get. Yeah.
Usman was not there, as he promised.
Yeah.
Because Usman likes to taper.
Very
into
rarely comes the optional session.
Yep.
Don't mind that at all.
So he's present merely today in the personified in the Cricket et al. Usman 232 T-shirt. Notice that nice bit of product placement there.
Available at all good merch stands. You did bring that box. We are going to set up a merch stand at Lord's.
No, I didn't. But I do have a spare. Actually,
how many of those T-shirts do you have at home?
Got a few.
We bought a lot of them, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. That's how we pay some of our guest writers. Actually, we offer them a T-shirt.
They're in that room with all those boxes of books you get to sell as well. T-shirts and books.
How about we take a break on Cricket et al? I just remembered to take a break. It's not a bad idea, is it? We'll come back in a moment on Cricket et al with more. We're back on Cricket et al, thankfully. We're on tour. There's a lot of hype and a lot of razzmatazz around the World Test Championship final. I think we should be telling the listeners what we got up to last night.
You want to talk about last night? Sorry.
Well, it was a long night.
It wasn't that long, was it?
No, it was a pretty long night once I got lost getting home. But
I do look forward to that story. Make sure you tell
it. If you're not lost, you're not having fun.
I don't like you getting lost without me leading the way, frankly. I've taught you well.
I tell you what, it was salutary because I did realise how ridiculously dependent I've become on the phone.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
That phone goes dead, you're
shit.
screwed.
I'm gone. Where am I?
That's what happened to a lot of the early explorers. I think their iPhone
I
went
know.
flat
Well,
and they got lost.
And they couldn't walk into the kebab shop like I did last night to get directions.
And the kebab shop guy drew you a map
He was
in the grease.
He was very helpful.
That's
very
good to
helpful
know.
indeed. Anyway,
You're
earlier
not going
on,
by yourself again.
Earlier on, we went to Abbey Road Studios, the storied Abbey Road Studios.
Who played there, Gideon?
Well, everyone.
The Beatles.
Absolutely
everyone has played there, haven't they?
Yeah.
You've never seen that documentary that's on the Beatles.
I couldn't get through it, frankly.
Yeah.
I couldn't get through it.
You tried?
Yeah, I made an attempt, and to be honest, I just thought this is for fans only. I just can't get any further.
Sue and I loved
Life
it.
is too short.
Sue and I loved it. I did, but by the end of it, I thought I am going to vomit if I hear "Get Back" one more fucking time.
Anyway, that's not what we were there for.
What were we doing?
We were
last
there
time?
for a banquet put on by the ICC for the investiture of another 7 or 8 members of the new of the ICC Hall of Fame.
Can you remember them all?
I think I can remember them all.
Go on.
Okay, Sana Mir.
Well done.
Claire Taylor.
Yep.
Graham Smith. Daniel Vittori.
Yep.
Matthew Hayden. MS Stoney. And is that it? No, Hashim Amla.
Well
there
done.
You go.
Well
That's
done.
pretty good, actually.
Well done.
Yeah. We got a nice little corporate gift, which was their faces on guitar picks. And I've still got mine. I know exactly who I'm going to give it to.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah.
It's going to be somebody's birthday present. Don't tell them I got them for free.
Yeah. But it was a bit weird, wasn't it? I think it was being broadcast live in India. That's why they started it at 4:30 in the afternoon. So
I was
we're
late.
completely in the dark at 4:30. Well, who else was late? Jay Shah, the chairman of the ICC. He arrived about 2 minutes before you did.
Yeah, it was no coincidence. Yeah, we caught the same tube train.
And then he was gone.
He was gone.
He was gone. He did the.
Did I miss him do a speech at the start or anything? No, I did see him present. See him present the caps.
He posed
the
for
commemorative caps
for the photo shoot, and then out the door, disappearing in the Succession-style black van, surrounded by his entourage.
At the same time as we were disappearing,
as we were. Yeah. But
had a kebab shop
look,
to go to.
It was. I actually thought they did a pretty nice job.
Overall, I was really happy to be there. I really enjoyed the presentation. Ian Bishop sort of anchored it.
Spoke very well. Bish and Ravi Shastri. I thought the footage was great. The video highlights of each career was terrific.
I love those show reels of their careers, and and it's kind of moving to see them celebrated in that way. I've got to say,
and to see that Hashim and Graham here, of course, with South Africa about to appear in the World Test Championship final, that added a certain frisson to the evening.
I'm a big fan of both those. They're really impressive characters, impressive cricketers.
And for that generation of South African players who are wedded to Test cricket and fought so hard to re-establish South Africa as a Test nation, this occasion means a very great deal.
You talked about Jay Shah's sort of fleeting visit. Somehow, magically, he was quoted in the press release.
ICC issued a press release. Are we giving away state secrets when we admit that he didn't actually say anything?
Are we allowed to? Oh, gosh. There goes the accreditation. Okay, He didn't say anything, but the quotes magically appeared in the press release of what
I
he
looked
said.
at my phone. I thought, I must have missed that.
I think he'd make a good ventriloquist.
He would.
You know who was more interesting, though, was MS Stoney.
MS Stoney, yes, the enigma of MS Stoney, continued his enigma by not appearing.
Well, other people who couldn't quite make it to the venue at least sent in a video. He didn't even send in a video. He completely snubbed.
He blanked the ICC.
Blanked. And you know what? Oh, nothing against the ICC. I kind of respect him for that. Bugger that. I'm done with cricket.
It would have been unlike MS Stoney to do otherwise. If MS Stoney had appeared in the flesh, well, I think we would all have fainted from exposure to his charisma. But no event, I think, could be quite big enough for MS Stoney and Jay Shah.
Yeah. Well, while you were watching the presentation of the, is it an anthem or what is it that they've the theme song?
There is a World Test Championship theme that's been composed and has been played by an orchestra of 100 musicians. It's amazing, isn't it, how the ICC can find money for these things? But there you are.
And the plectrums. Well, I hope I'm not giving away any secrets, but I snuck out to walk down the halls of the famous Abbey Road and have a leak where George Harrison had a leak, and wash my hands where... Did they? The Beatles probably didn't wash their hands. Some of the hippies, weren't they, by that period? Yeah. Anyway, Vittori was sneaking out the back door, and he sort of. I said, he said, "Oh, not for me." And he says, "This is much," and he pointed to the music. This stuff's much more interesting than what's going on in there. I respect him for that too. I really like Daniel Vittori.
So do I.
A great cricketer, great presence to him, and just a sensible bloke, like most Kiwi cricketers are. Actually.
Yeah. It was fun
with
to
a couple
see.
of exceptions.
It was fun to see that footage of the young Vittori, wasn't it, on the screen last night? Sort of the fop. The sort of jazz age fop.
Was he 17, 18 when he played his first test? He was a child, wasn't he? Yeah.
And Nasser Hussain appeared in the video saying that I think he'd been not only Vittori's first class wicket, but also his first test wicket.
Nasser was good. I love Nasser too.
Yeah.
I love seeing the film clips of Taylor's stumping. And that kind of stuff. Mel Jones made some great contributions to it. Yeah, it's not really our sort of event, but I was glad I went. I'm glad that
enjoyed
you
it
pressured
too.
me.
Yeah, I did. I took you into it, didn't I?
Yeah. I was rather reluctant to do that.
So it was it. Look, and tomorrow, it's a final. We're at Lord's. It's Test cricket. Oh, there's just so much to like about this occasion.
I'm excited.
Yeah, me too.
Really, you're just excited when you're at Lord's, but there's a lot of cricket in the air.
There is.
As I said yesterday, it's the Adelaide Test on steroids, this one. Everyone's in town for it. Everywhere you go, you're running into cricket people. There's a lot of goss to catch up on.
I did ask yesterday, there are some tickets still available, but not all that many, apparently, for the first day. Yeah.
Well,
So
I got
if you're
one
in
for
the vicinity...
only a few weeks ago for the first day. Yeah. And that's a fantastic opportunity for people who normally it's so difficult to get to Lord's. So even for people who live in England, London, this is an opportunity to get to Lord's and watch a test match.
Apparently there were quite a few Indians who booked corporate hospitality about a year ago in the expectation that India would be here.
Oh.
So they've there's some opportunities have opened up, let's just say, in the interim.
Yeah. Oh well. So we're sorry that that India couldn't make it, but we're very happy that South Africa's here. And
we are.
A lot of South African journos have made the trip.
A lot of South African
too,
journos. It's great to see, actually. Yeah,
because it's difficult to make it. It's an expensive trip for one test match. Thank you to the Cricket NL subscribers who help us get there.
Yeah. Thanks for getting behind us. Keep buying the T-shirts. That'll keep us on the road a little bit longer.
Yeah.
If you're in London, let us know. Be good to catch up. We're catching up with Pez tonight from TGC, so that'll be good to see him. See how it's really done.
How the professionals
do it.
You guys might come too, unless he gets a better offer. Yeah. And what could be a better offer than having dinner with you, Gideon?
Indeed. That's all we've got time for on Cricket et al. Till tomorrow, it's goodbye from me,
and it's good night from him.